Ladies and gentlemen, in this RedGamingTech.com video, I'm going to be taking another look at Realms of Ancient War. I will this time be checking out a different class, because obviously last time I was the Magician, so I want to try out a new class just to kind of see the difference between kind of up close and more long range combat. So in this one, I'm probably going to try out the Thief, I think, is the one I'm veering towards anyway. So you guys will remember as well that in theory I start in a different area. So I should start out in the Wild Valley. So anyway, it looks a little bit like a hunter with a weapons enchant. But anyway, let's start the game. And once again, I'm going to start with normal.
The continent. A land divided
okay, I'm going to
into
skip that because that's basically what I've already seen. So obviously that's not really going to help us. So anyway, we'll have to see what happens. The sun is setting, it's time to resume my journey. The villagers I met told me about a pack of starving wolves roaming the woods. According to them, the pack is led by a giant alpha wolf. The trail led me here. The wolf there shouldn't be too far now. So we're going to have a very quick look at the skills. I figure that's the best thing to look at first. Dagger mastery, a bow, stealth, mana preservation. What about the highest talents? Wow, that is pretty insane as a class. Coup de grace. And finally, deputy reflexes. So, we're going to have a quick look at these. We have one, which is your AoE. Or at a distance. I'll press right to shoot the arrows. Okay, so we've got a very basic overview now of how the hell that works. Got some cool goodies. And we are now good to go. Alright, we have killed a wolf. And I'm going to quickly check my inventory. And I'm going to quickly equip some random bits and pieces. Now my character looks somewhat less cool than what they did just a moment ago. Now you'll notice that my attacks do a reasonable amount of damage, even at the start. So my initial impressions of this game with the wizard class was actually fairly favourable. It had a few bugs, mostly to do with a little bit dodgy UI from the enemies with their pathfinding. And stuff like this, enemies a bit weird. But other than that, you know, it's not particularly bad. I will say that in this particular level, I mean, look, you can even see kind of like a rainbow there. That's actually pretty impressive. Already got a level up, that's very pleasing. Okay, skill points. Okay, we already know this stuff, so I'm just going to quickly skip through it. And I'm going to quickly murder this poor spider. Right. The spider has wronged me. We have a few abilities. You can lethal blow. Can't go for that. We could upgrade that, however. We can upgrade stealth. What do you think, gang? Shall we go for stealth? See, I don't really like the fire rate at the moment. I'm actually going to boost that. I think it's a little bit slow. So I figure, actually, let's go more weapons based. I want to be more close range. I was pewing all day long last time, so let's instead do more close range. See what the damage differences are. So I'll probably upgrade that one more time throughout the video, and then kind of go from there. I generally prefer kind of long range. It's kind of funny, one of the absolute reasons I loved World of Warcraft was the characters. I know a lot of people complain about certain characters in WoW. I haven't played it in a long time. I'm actually considering going back. Maybe guys, feel free to give some comments if you're still WoW players. I'm really considering going back to it. I haven't played in goodness knows how long. I mean, I was a massive raider back in like the Burning Crusade and even Wrath of the Lich King, but I haven't really played since then. So there you have it. You can see that I'm quite easily able to massacre these things quite simply. I'll quickly grab that. I've also, the starting area looks very visually impressive. The water down there, for example, looks very nice. I will say, this game engine does handle. I forgot to actually check which engine it is. I apologise for that. It is actually doing really well with water effects. Now I know I've skipped all this for the game mechanics, but I have done this video before. I actually really want to start playing a more dungeon crawlers, that type of thing, for the channel as well as for myself. So Torchlight 2 I quite like. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to mention that. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to mention Torchlight 2, which is a good game, don't get me wrong. I'm quite a big fan of it. I haven't really tried it out much since my initial look, however, to be honest with you. So yeah, I mean, I haven't really tried it out since my first look, for simple reasons that I haven't really had the time. But I'll probably check it out a bit more. I'm kind of torn between that and maybe trying out Diablo 3. I've got the trial of Diablo 3. A few people put me off of it, actually, who I know. They basically told me that it kind of gets sucky towards endgame, or like kind of like once you're leveling up. So who the hell knows. But anyway. Another chest pleases me. See, to me, this is what PC gaming does really well. This and there we go, more enemies. So this is a more powerful dude. Not really that much of an issue though. Managed to take it out quite quickly. And go back to this. Sacred blood armor, that's quite a distance. Case. All skin, quite valuable in the market. So nothing was really helpful to me quite yet. This is the type of game to me that PC gaming does really well. I'm not saying this is the perfect game. Oh, get the bloody item. I thought I would have picked it up, but never mind. I just got purple on that. That's pretty cool. Wait, what level do I have to be? Okay, so another 1 level. That's not so bad. I'm not saying it's the perfect game. It has some bugs that I've mentioned before, such as enemies like that. The fact that it's, you know, it's not the highest difficulty setting or anything, but the fact that it basically allowed me to rip them apart, it kind of tells me that, you know, there's a few issues programming, but there you have it. AoE seems pretty powerful, I will say, on this game. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. I suppose it's kind of depends upon, you know, how the game scales later on. Unfortunately, a lot of this is how a game scales. I'll give you guys an example. If you're WoW players, you'll understand this, especially if you're long-time WoW players. But the Priest, for example, scaled really well at the start, the Shadow Priest DPS. So, yeah, it's very simple stuff. Obviously, you can do a lot of damage later on and you don't scale that well with equipment. Or it's a simple case that your talents later on buff single target DPS really high. So, it's hard to know really. Thinking I'm going to have to heal. No, managed it, sweet. Okay, so I could level up if required, and you know what? I'm thinking I'm going to do just that. quickly check out this little area just to make sure. Don't want to forget that's not the worst thing you can do in game. I'm going to equip some goodies. Now, skills. It's actually quite nice. You can just press I and S even though if you're in the menu. So that's quite a good little touch. I'm going to finally max this out. I'm trying to go for as much close range damage as possible. So I figure that's a pretty good option. Let's test it out. Yeah, you can see there's definitely a little bit more damage there. I think beforehand I was hitting for about 150-ish. So it's quite a nice little increase. Basically around 25% at a rough guess. I wasn't paying huge amounts of attention of the exact numbers, but I think they're around 150, 160. So it's a relatively nice increase. I'm unsure if it's exactly linear, but there you have it. As I've said before, the game does handle outside areas really well. In some ways, I would actually argue I'm actually impressed with how it does. Now, a lot of people have some negatives to say about Torchlight in terms of its aesthetic, because they think it looks a bit too... There we go. They think it looks a bit too cartoony. So, it's kind of hard to know. The characters' death animations are not awful. There's a lot of loot as well. You can actually... Now, one problem at the moment is that there's not that many really amazing skills available per character, so although it feels kind of satisfying to hack and slash, you kind of feel like, you know what, I want something a bit more. I'm hoping to be able to show you guys some stealth or something, and ow. So I'm just going to try and level up as quickly as possible. Maybe trust up the bow. You'll see the damage is significantly lower. Ah, speaking of which, I couldn't really get much better timing than that if I tried. Where is the bow? Actually looks the same weapon. It is the same weapon. It's not very ideal. Oh well, never mind. We do have a chest here though. Yeah, it's got poison, which is not exactly helpful. Fortunately, it's nothing that my inbuilt innate health regeneration can't really take on. I find myself really utilising the shift key for the forced attacks. A lot of the time, it makes life just so simple. There we go. To be honest with you, single enemies just don't really have much of a prayer. They make you pretty much a force at the start, which could be good or bad, depending once again on how the game scales and that kind of thing. I am continuously, however, impressed with just how well this game runs and how good it looks. It's not the best looking dungeon crawler in the world, admittedly, but it does look pretty nice, and also it handles light sourcing and particle effects such as smoke and fog really well. Maybe it's a little bit overdone, but I think on the trees, that kind of thing. But I think it just helps to add a little bit to aesthetics. And to be honest with you, bollocks to it. It doesn't exactly have to be realistic. It's a goddamn game. It's a giant spider, great. Just what I always want for Christmas. Okay, here's another magic ring. Is that the same as the previous one? No, level 3. Dexterity. Well, last time I equipped the other one because of the stamina, but the wisdom doesn't really serve me that well, obviously. I'd definitely take the dexterity. The only issue with it is it doesn't help my resistance to poison, which is somewhat ironic. There we go, that should do the trick. Makes sense, however, that as a rogue or thief or whatever you want to say, there we go, I focus more on my dexterity. I might want to rest for a minute. I could get myself in trouble here. However, I have recently soulstoned, so it shouldn't be too much of a big deal. Fudge. Don't want to get involved in that. Not yet. I think I'll heal first, my good friend. I do have a healing potion, but why utilise something if you don't need to? That's my motto. You can actually take a lot of them out long range. This would have been one of the times that I'd have kind of really helped to have my bow skill up. In fact, I'll probably get that up at some point. But to be honest with you, I can quite easily massacre it. I know I've got another magic ring. These guys seem to just drop them like they're candy. Must be that one. Okay. It's actually not that great. Okay, let's go down here. I'm not actually sure which way to go. Leather cap, which obviously is armour. Shoot these guys if possible on range. I will say that the glitches are actually seem to be a lot less in this area. Oh, there's an alpha female. You're basically done. Yeah, you're pretty much meat. Okay. As Shung Tsung would say, your soul is mine. I don't really think that's going to make a difference, but there you have it. Might as well have the breastplate. I'm unsure what the key does. I might have missed what it actually is supposed to open, but never mind. Oh, bollocks. Wasn't intentional. Good luck to anyone who actually would like to click. You'll notice as well that experience is taking a lot longer to go up now. I'm unsure if the loot is random from chests and so on. I'm assuming it is. Or possibly just goes from a certain selection. I know I'm kind of going around the whole thing here, but I figure I might as well. Doesn't hurt to explore area, as they would say. Ah, dearie me. Yeah, I kind of figured I'd be ending up where I came from. Plus side, I've got those two things anyway, so... No, I'm going to destroy that. Okay, I can't destroy that. Can however destroy... nothing. Okay. So... I don't seek... What the hell? I don't think there's an overall map, which is a bit of a problem. I will say that this game does definitely impress me a lot more in this area than the mage's opening area. I don't think that's anything to do with the mage class. The mage class is actually pretty damn powerful. In some ways I'd say more so because the long range of the mage was just insane. I'm unsure about the survivability. Probably might be both, but about even. But I wasn't that impressed with the mage's starting area. It did look quite nice in certain places, particularly the graveyard, but the crypts looked a bit crap, to be honest with you. I mean, aesthetically they weren't bad, but you know, you just felt like they could have been that little bit better. Okay, there's also seems to be a lot of soul stones around here. I do like how blames are Kef. The writing's not that bad. I mean, it's not award-winning, but it's certainly not too bad. And he does the job. It's not as good as like Blizzard, but come on now. Let's be honest, the amount of people who work with, say, this compared to Blizzard, you know, the fact that it's reasonable is pretty impressive. Oh dear. Now, as I've said, I do have a few issues with the game, mostly involving UI. I'm not sure about the balance so far. I have a feeling that it's going to be kind of okay balance, but not the best you could ever hope for.